Bismillah.
Assalamu alaikum. Salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Ma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Everybody that's watching online right now, while you're waiting for the live stream to start, those who take notes and write down everything or most of the things, most of the words what's being said, that's only one notebook. The second notebook should be the summary, the talkhis, the summary. Main fawaid, sporadic benefits. And then you make another notebook in which you write down the main rulings. The main rulings. So, based off of last night, in the class before last night, hypothetically, one would say, this is what you write down in your notebook. The sutra is obligatory. The sutra is kada. The sutra is, it has to be, write down the rulings. It's permissible for a woman to lay down in front of you while you're praying. It's disliked to do this, it's the rulings. And then you write down a list of fawaid. This imam said that, there's difference on this, the meaning of that, wahakada. And you have an abundance of classes, hundreds of classes. There's no reason why you shouldn't have hundreds and hundreds of books stacked up. And what you've summarized, condensed. And when you're writing in the class, obviously you're writing things down in a hurried way. After the class, you rewrite it. You double check it. And alhamdulillah, you have the audio, you have the video. So you can put together an entire booklet for yourself, for your family, for your weekend school, for your masjid, for hadith disciple, for whatever. And all of the different fawaid, rulings, definitions that are being thrown out, you have to preserve them. Because these classes and these live streams, they're not going to remain forever. Whether it's an issue of death, which we'll all taste, as Allah tells us, or whether it's an issue of just one day I'll say, no more live stream, kalas, it's enough, it's on, it's done. Whatever the case may be. Everybody understand this? So you have to take the fawaid, summarize, condense, and most importantly, what? Put it together, refine it. Do what? Refine it. Inshallah ta'ala. So these are some benefits with regards to studying classes, listening to lectures, let alone if it's something that's actually systematic. The classes aren't necessarily structured, meaning there's no classroom, there's no exam, there's no evaluation. That's not what this is. As many people say, Hadith disciple is Hadith disciple. You have this institute, you have this online course, that's fine. These are just the traditional classes. So you yourself, the student, the listener, the watcher, you're going to have to need some type of what? Self-structuring. Inshallah ta'ala. And only Allah knows what the future holds with regards to actually having structured classes, Hadith disciple, so on and so forth. Khayr, inshallah. But do not scorn the benefits that you get. The rulings that you get, the fawaid that you get. But if you just let them get away and run away, then that's what will happen. And if you actually write them down, record them, summarize them, cut them up, slice them up, categorize them, you'll be shocked after a month, after a year, what you actually have. And Allah knows best. Right, so with that being said, what did we talk about last night, Lutfi?
Last night we talked about one of the things that we talked about, the ruling on, I guess, things that breaks the salah.
Things that break one's salah. Things that break the salah. Right, someone or something that does what? Breaks one's salah. Meaning if it passes in front of you, regardless whether you try to stop them or not, or al-muhim it passes in front of you, one way or another, your salah is now what?
Invalid.
Invalid. You gotta start again. It's broken. Right. Good. What else did we talk about? What else did we speak about last night?
Spoke about the view of Aisha that she took.
Some of the views of Aisha radiallahu anha. Right. What else?
The difference between passing through and someone that's already on the sutra.
Passing, murur, al-murur, walking in front of, passing in front of you, and al-i'tirad, lying in front of you without actually moving. Fine. What else did we talk about last night?
That the sutra is mandatory.
That the sutra is mandatory. Fine. What else did we speak about?
The views hadith from Abu Dhar.
Hadith of Abu Dhar regarding?
The three things that.
Where's that hadith found in? The hadith of Abu Dhar.
Sahih Muslim.
Sahih Muslim, and not in the Sahih, but where?
Sahih Muslim.
Sahih Muslim. Right? Khayr, inshallah. What else do we talk about? What do we talk about with regards to hadith science? Any hadith science that we spoke on last night?
All the salaf, not necessarily if they're truthful, does not make what they say something
Accurate.
accurate.
From hadith science is truthfulness and righteousness, and also actual virtue does not necessitate what? Accuracy. Someone could be a virtuous person, righteous person, doesn't mean they're what? Accurate. And just because someone is accurate and precise doesn't mean that they're what? Truthful and righteous. Waliyadu billah. Now, everybody clear on this? Having a teacher that's both, then that's what? That's what you want. A teacher that you presuppose Allah knows a person's secrets. It's outward and plain that this person is righteous. That's one thing. Truthful is another thing. Obviously, righteousness and truthfulness go hand in hand. And also virtuous, meaning they've been doing this for a while. They've been teaching, they have experience, they've been serving the people what? For a while. They have a virtue. Old age is old, a virtue. Everybody doing this? He's doing service, sacrificing, teaching, pumping, pushing. And on top of that, they're what? Sharp. They're giving you valid information that's beneficial. That's the best teacher to have. Neither here or there. Everybody clear on this or not? Tight. Also, we spoke on with regards to hadith science, what?
Criticizing the method.
Criticizing the metin. And the ulama, and when we say the ulama of hadith, it doesn't just mean later on Nawawi ibn Hajar, Iraqi. From the ulama of the Sahaba, they paid a great deal of attention to what? The metin, the actual text of the hadith. And there were different scales that they used, different gauges that they used, different guidelines, different yardsticks that they used to determine whether it was sahih or other than sahih, whether it was common sense, whether it was the Quran, whether it were other narrations and hadiths. Aisha clearly used what the Prophet approved of her lying in front of him to reject the ruling of a woman passing in front of. Everybody understands whether she was right or wrong, but she used what? Some type of technique in her criticism. So this is an example among many others in which the Sahaba refused to accept certain things that the people said that the Messenger of Allah said. Did they deem them as liars? No. But they said it's just not, it doesn't add up. Because of blah, 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 blah. So there are principles of hadith criticism. Khayr, inshallah. Tayyib. Let's get started with tonight's class. It says here, chapter 52, and this is the last chapter in Kitab al-Salah. The next book is Kitab al-Masajid wa Mawadi al-Salah, the book of mosques and places of worship. So we're finishing Kitab al-Salah now. The last chapter, the author says, Babu salati fi thawbin wahid wa sifati lubsihi. كذا. Says here, to offer prayer while wearing a single garment and the way it should be worn. To offer prayer in a single garment and the way that it should be worn. I.e., the permissibility of praying in how many garments?
Single.
Just one. And how it is to be worn. Is it permissible to just pray in one thobe? Or do you have to have on a thobe and an izar? Do you have to have on a kameez and pants? When it comes to women as well, can a woman pray in one garment? Or does she have to have on two garments? A khimar and then a dir, the long dress or robe. Does a woman have to have another piece of clothing on top of that? Is it permissible to cover yourself in what?
Single garment.
One single garment. Everybody on this? Also, away from the topic or the chapter heading, that which pertains to what is known as shurut as-salah. Shurut as-salah. Prerequisites of prayer. Conditions of prayer. Things that you must fulfill before you commence praying. Things that you have to do before you pray. And things that you are supposed to remain upon while you're praying. Pay close attention. Facing the Qibla is something that you have to do when? When do you have to face the Qibla? Before or after you pray?
Before you pray.
You have to face the Qibla before. And that's it? Only before? And also, throughout the prayer.
Throughout the prayer.
You got to keep facing the Qibla. So when we say a prerequisite, it doesn't just mean that it's only a prerequisite. To get this job, you have to have a what? Driver's license. If you lose your driver's license after you get the job, will you be fired? Will you lose your job? Will you become doctor? Maybe, maybe not. You have to have a high school degree. What? To get the job, a prerequisite. Now you starting a job, I'm no longer going to high school, or I don't need a degree no more. Khalas. Everybody understand this? So the condition of the salah, the shart, the prerequisite, is something that comes before the prayer. And oftentimes it has to do what? Remain to the end of the prayer. Your niyyah. This is my salah. You can't break your niyyah in the prayer. Facing the qibla has to what? Remain. And from the prerequisites of the prayer, according to some ulama, is satr al-awrah. Satr al-awrah. Covering one's what? Awrah. It's to cover the awrah. Covering the awrah being obligatory in the prayer, no issue with regards to that. It being obligatory. No issues regarding that. That you have to cover your awrah in the prayer. But is it a prerequisite? Is it something that has to be done? And if you don't do it in your prayer, it's no longer valid. Everybody clear on this? At-tahara, being clean from physical impurities. The wudu, ghusl, tayammum, no issue. But physical, and najasa, being free from najasa, is that obligatory? Which no doubt. Or is it something that is actual prerequisite? Everybody clear on this? So we have different things that pertain to the prayer, as we talked about in Masjid Tuff on Friday. We have the shart, which means a prerequisite. And then we have a rukin, which is translated to mean a pillar. Or I have even better, easier translation, Allah's best, a bone of the prayer is better. Because you can relate to a body more than a pillar of a building. Because all buildings don't necessarily have what? Pillars. They have walls, they don't necessarily have what? Pillars and columns. With a bone, you can think about it now. It's a part of the integral body. You need it. Your arm won't work if you don't have this what? Bone. Everybody clear on this? It's a method. And then we have a wajib, something that's mandatory in a prayer. Something that's what? Mandatory. And then we have that which is sunan, recommended acts of prayer. Makruhat, dislike things in the prayer. Last but not least, mubtilatu salah, things which break your prayer and nullify your prayer. Everybody clear on this? So, the shart and the rukin and the wajib, these things, they all share one general thing. Is that they're all what? Mandatory. All three of them are what? Mandatory. A prerequisite is what? Mandatory. The rukin, the pillar or the bone is what? Mandatory. It has to be. You have to do it. And the wajib is also mandatory. Where do they differ? Where is the fork in the road between these three things? Or between these three things? The fork in the road is where, Lutfi? The fork in the road, there's several forks in the road. The first fork in the road is that there are certain things that do what? Before. And the rukin does not come before the salah. You recite the Fatiha where?
Inside.
In the salah. It's in the internal, not the external, not before. Facing the qibla is when? Before. And also during, but specifically before. It's a difference. So that's the first fork in the road. Everybody clear this or not? Then we have another fork in the road when it comes to a wajib and a rukin. Leave shut, we're done with shut for now. A wajib and a rukin. They're both parallel in what sense?
It's wajib.
They're fucked. You have to do both of them. But the fork in the road is what? Is that if you forget about the wajib, there's a way of what?
Making it up.
Fixing it. You leave off the rukin, you forgot about the rukin, you can't what? Your salat is done. With exceptions to you remembering it in the prayer, right? Fixing it, whatever the case may be. Everybody understand this or not? Everybody understand this or not? Khairan, inshallah. So from the conditions of the salah, according to many ulama, and we never said all. Pay close attention. We didn't say what?
All.
We didn't say all. According to many of them, is that which is called satrul awrah, covering the awrah. Now the first question is, what is an awrah? What is an awrah? What's an awrah? What does the word awrah mean? Huh? Private parts. Right? Anybody else?
Come from your navel to the knee.
Navel to the knee. Anybody else? What's awrah mean? Awrah, ayn, waw, ra, and ta, awratun. Scholars are the same. They say it comes from the word awar, which basically means as-saw'a or saw'atain, shame, shameful parts. The word is shame, disgrace. That's what it linguistically means. Something shameful and disgraceful. Everybody doing this? And what's meant by that is something that you're shamed and disgraced to show someone. Embarrassed. Man with his wife, that's a different story. But if you were walking down the street, or today in the prank culture, persons at school, they run up to you and do what? Pull your pants down. Oh, what the heck? You pull up your pants. Everybody understand this? The person is now what? Shamed and embarrassed. Even though they might stay in their underpants, they're still what?
Embarrassed.
Shamed. Everybody understand this? Or you're making Hajj and Umrah for the first time. And you feel like your haram is going to fall down. He said, I got 3 circuits left here to throw off. You're fighting, you're battling, right? Then the old lady comes up to you and hits you with the wheelchair. Whoa! Anyone who's saying Hajj or Umrah can understand this and relate to this. Even though the ihram, the clothing, the ihram is not going to fall, it's there, but your mind is what? It's like a claustrophobic person. You feel like he's going to fall, but it's good. And then there are certain times in which what?
It falls.
Allah musta'an. Everybody understand it? So just imagine the shame that you're going to go through in front of the Kaaba, all of these mean people, and your nakedness becomes manifest. Everybody clear in this? So it's shameful, and it's something which is natural. It's something that's what? Natural. It's something that's what? It's natural for the people who still have the pure fitrah. And the fitrah that hasn't been totally just washed away and burnt away and ripped away. The kuffar, they say to the young children, boys and girls, don't be shy. Don't be shy. It's okay. Don't be shy. And everything that they do from young age is to expose them to some type of nakedness. Swimming, ballerina, this sport, this picture, this bat is to expose them nakedness, 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 and to leave off the shyness of covering themselves, unfortunately. And obviously there are some people that haven't been exposed to it. There are levels to it. Even among the kuffar, there are levels because there are different types of kuffar. Everybody understand this? A Mormon, an Amish person is not like someone that has a secular, I was born in a Christian type religion. Hasidic Jew is not like someone who's a conservative Jew. There's levels of non-Muslims. Everybody understand this? Someone who lives in the city is not like someone who lives in the country. It's different. It's levels. There are levels. But the general concept of the fitrah being strict. Everybody understand this? So there are certain people who still have some of their fitrah intact, first and foremost. Secondly, there are certain people who what? There's certain people who what? Who have just a natural high level of shyness and just bashful. And there's some people that are naturally not as shy. Everybody clear this or not? One day, as we said, it was me and Brother Umar. We were in New Jersey somewhere. We were coming out of our hotel room. And of course, we have on thobes, or some brothers say throbes. We're wearing throbes, okay? White thobes, kufis. So we got in the elevator. Some non-Muslims, a couple older non-Muslims, and a couple little kids. So they were going to the pool. So, how you doing? All right. What floor you going to? Thank you. We held the door, whatever the case may be. So they got in the elevator, and there was a little small girl, and they had the little small girl dressed shamefully in some type of like bikini type swimsuit. Little tiny girl. The little girl had a towel on her shoulders. She looked up at me, Umar. She started covering herself. She looked at how we were dressed. We're grown men. And how she was dressed, and she automatically felt a sense of what? Shyness. You see what I'm saying to you? So her fitrah hasn't been 100% what? But it's
degree.
Oh, no question about that. Everybody understand this? Everybody clear this or not? So a person having a natural sense of shame with regards to his or her private parts being what? Seen. And Allah tells us about this in the 7th chapter of the Quran, Surah Al-Araf. Surah Al-Araf. Allah tells us about Adam and Hawa and Shaitan, Iblis, and how they were expelled from paradise. Now, what he said to them, what he did, so atihima. Allah says, and for him to show them what? Ma wuriya. Allah says what was covered, what was the exposing of their what? So their private areas. And how they try to cover their what? Their private areas. Everybody clear this or not? So this is from the benefits of chapter 7. Allah tells us about Iblis and how he was among the angels. Kana min al-jinn. He wasn't an angel, he was a jinni. Okay? He was jinni, but he was among them. Allah tells about this in several surahs. Surah Al-Baqarah, first and foremost, of course. Surah Al-Kahf. Allah tells about Iblis now. But in chapter 7, Allah tells about the nakedness of Adam and Hawa and how they covered themselves. Now, so the concept of awrah is from shame. And many scholars of Islam, they say what's meant by the word awrah is as-saw'atan. As-saw'atan. They say it's the two sexual organs, the two private parts, the front and the back. They say the front and the what? And the back. That's the one's awrah. Everybody doing this? Then we further branch off and we get into the levels of awrah. Severe awrah, awrah mughallava. Severe. And then we have the awrah that's in the middle. And then we have the awrah that's less, slight. Mukhaffafa. Shway. Everybody understand this or not? With regards to men and women. So an example of this, rough example would be the severe type of awrah for a man would be a what? It's private area and it's behind. Which you would no one to see except for perhaps the woman that he is intimate with, whether his wife or his right hand possession. Then we have the middle type of awrah, such as, one may say, such as what? The middle awrah will be what?
Chest.
Thigh, perhaps, mathalan, thigh. Beneath the navel, mathalan. Or above the navel a little bit, but for sure to say one's thighs. And then you have the awrah mukhaffafa, the slight awrah. One could say, nah, one may say the chest.
The nipples.
Well, man or woman, what are you talking about? One may say what? One's bare chest. You go somewhere with a brother in the hotel room, he comes out the bathroom, the shower, like Tarzan, beating on the chest. What is this? We don't have to mention no names. You all know what I'm talking about. And the brother, he says, what? You got a problem? It's not awrah. Everybody clear on this or not? We don't have to mention no what? No names. If the brother's watching, he's not here in the physical essence tonight. Only Allah knows if he's online watching. So, and then we have the concept of what some of the ulama don't even consider to be awrah at all, but they say it's unnecessary to show it and reveal it, unveil it, unless you have to. So before we even get into a woman, sticking with a man now, a scholar may say that the only awrah of a man is the front and the back. That's it. But it doesn't mean he should show his thigh to someone that doesn't have to see it. Or beneath his navel, before his private part, to someone who doesn't have to what? See it. Like on Hajj. The brothers, they have one ihram and it falls down. You see their belly button and their hairy stomach. Everybody saying that? So some of them may say that that's not awrah. An awrah is a saw'atan, faqat. It is the front and the back, the buttocks and the sexual organ. But it doesn't mean that it's necessary to do what?
To show it.
Sure.
Unnecessarily. And others may say, rather, the awrah, listen carefully, ma bayna surra wa rukbah. They say that which is between the navel and the knee, and not from the navel to the knee. It's a difference. From the navel to the knee means above the navel to beneath the knee. What is between the two meaning as what? So you could see my navel,
but you can't.
and you can also see my kneecap. And the tip of my thigh and my kneecap, but not what's between the two. Clear on that? And it's others, they may say rather from the what? Navel to the knee. Can't see my navel or my knee. Everybody turn this one out. Now, that's the basic awrah in general. When it comes to the salah, there's a level of perfection. There's a level of shyness that is supposed to be adhered to. And that is your whole entire body being covered. That is loose clothes being worn to the best of your ability. And also your head being covered. Are these things mandatory? No. Do you have to? No. But we're talking about what? Everybody turn this now. خُذُوا زِينَتَكُمْ عِنْدَ كُلِّ مَسْجِدٍ. Allah says, cover your zina. O Adam, O sons of Adam, Ya Bani Adam. Cover your zina at the time in which you wish to pray. So, I have on pants and a shirt. Is it valid to pray in it? It's valid. The pants are not skin tight. The shirt is tucked in. It's beneath. It covers me. But I have the ability to wear it in or a thobe or shabra kameez or different types of dress. The Muslims that come from West Africa, whatever. It doesn't have to be one culture. It doesn't have to be one culture. What proves shyness? What proves modesty? Then that is definitely what? Best. And that's the highest level of preferability. With regards to the what? Salah. Also, when you're with your friends, obviously someone who comes over your house is not like someone that you meet in the street. You may come over a brother's house and he has on like a short sleeve thobe or a long shirt and sweatpants with his head uncovered. That doesn't mean he's going to go outside like that. Everybody understand this or not? Clear, inshallah? And the same applies to your family. How a man dresses in front of his children is not necessarily how he's going to dress in front of a stranger. If I have on pajamas in the house in front of my children, young children instead of older children, they're always what? Levels. What? Levels. How a woman dresses in front of her father. It's not like how he dresses in front of other sisters. They're what? They're what? Levels. Everybody understand? So that's in brief. That's an extreme summary. Moving on to women. What's the awrah of a woman? Everything. Right. Anybody else? What's the awrah of a woman? Except the face. Tight.
Face and the hand.
Face and the hands. Right. Anybody else? Come on, that me. Now it's time to give us what you got. We're talking about women from human beings, not extraterrestrial.
Everything except maybe the hands and face.
Everything except for maybe the hands and the face. Right. Anybody else? And feet. Feet can be up. Right. Anybody else? Sheikh Mahdi. Huh? Same thing. Hands, face, and feet? Hands and face. Not the feet. Right. Okay. Anybody else? Anybody online? Nobody else? Right. Okay. When it comes to a woman's awrah, then the same principles apply as well. With regards to who a woman is in front of. A woman in front of other women is one scenario. A woman in front of Muslim women, according to some scholars, is a what? Another scenario. A woman in front of her husband is a scenario. A woman in front of a doctor, a physician, is a what? Scenario. A woman in front of her young children is a scenario. A woman in front of her older children is a scenario. A woman who hosts other sisters in her house, not at a ball or a tea party, a costume party, but she just has a halaqah over her house. It's not the same as other scenarios. Everybody told this one out. So, number one, when a woman is in front of a non-mahram, she's in front of a non-mahram. Pay close attention to the words we said. We never said outside the house. But we said a what? A non-mahram. Because a non-mahram could be inside the house. And many women, they think that if a person is automatically inside the house, I don't have to wear hijab. And that's wrong. The hijab is only beginning to what? Non-mahram. Everybody sure this or not? So when a woman is in front of a non-mahram, then some of the scholars of Islam say that everything on her is awrah. Everything. Except for that which is a means of necessity. That which is a means of what?
Necessity.
Necessity, in which she has to see. She can't wear a screen. Some sisters have said, the true story, said, my eyelashes are too long. I can't wear a screen, it hurts my eyelashes. So I have to uncover my eyes. That's how it starts, look, so you understand? The next one is what? My hands are sweaty. Then this next thing what? My feet are, I have blisters, right, swollen. The next thing you know is what? Amen is in the heart. Next thing you know, only Allah knows what type of fashion hijab it is after that. So, some of the ulama they say is that everything on a woman's body in front of a non-mahram is awrah. And nothing can be exposed except for that which is a necessity. Whether it be the eyes being out of the niqab or the burqa, whether it is one eye, whether it is light screen, whether she has children and she can't have on gloves, she's a germaphobe. It's a reality. Many Muslims are germaphobes. I can't have these dirty gloves all day, touching the railing, touching the steering wheel. My baby, I have to have the hand sanitizer. It's a necessity. Everybody doing this? And if that's not the case, then everything on a woman in front of a non-mahram has to be what? Covered in is an awrah. Her hair, her eyes, her nose, her face, her feet, kulshi. Everybody doing this or not? Number one. Number two. Some ulama they say that the awrah of a woman, and we're talking about a woman who's of age, of course, a woman who's above the age of puberty, she has to cover everything except for her hands and her face in front of a non-mahram. Her awrah is her neck, her head, her hair, her ears, her neck, her shoulders, her breast, her belly, the small of her back, and everything else. Except for the what? Hands and face in front of a non-mahram. Clear this or not? With the detail of no makeup, no type of additional supplemental zina. Whether it's kuhl, mascara, Revlon, this, that, lipstick. Everybody on this? Some people, they may make it an exception with regards to certain types of foundation or certain things that a woman may put on her face, which is not actually meant to be makeup as an attraction, but it may be meant to cover up some type of scar or something like this. Something unsightly. But that's a discussion in itself. Obviously, there's a difference between lip gloss and lip balm. There's a difference between red lipstick and chapstick. Right, Lutfi? Yes or no?
Yes.
Like, there's a difference between some type of green things on the eyes or this and that, and just something that's just as she feels very insecure about. Say she has big pores on her face or craters, nothing like that. Everybody understand this? Fight. As far as actual adornment, henna on her nails, henna tattoo on her hands, things like this, not in front of a non-mahram unless she's going to cover her hands and her face. Everybody trying this or not? And the same applies to gold, certain types of jewelry. So that's number two. Number three. So now we're done with what? The non-mahram woman. I mean the non-mahram looking at a Muslim woman of age. Clear? Now the woman among her husband, with her and her zawj. Some of the ulama of Islam, they say that you should not be naked in your house. You should be shy in your house. When you wash, you should have some type of covering on, some type of shyness. You shouldn't ever be walking around your house naked. Obviously, Muslims are not Jews, or Hasidic Jews, or different type, different things. Intimacy is different. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's mandatory. When you're in front of someone, your husband, your wife, then there's basically no restrictions on what they can and cannot see. And the narrations that state that a man cannot look at a woman's awrah, and vice versa, are fabricated and extremely weak. And some people knowledge, they even say, looking at a person's awrah causes dumbness of the mind. They say it blunts one's senses and causes you to lose your mental sharpness. Alright, where are they getting this from? Is it an authentic hadith? Of course not. Is it some type of cultural practice, some type of experience? Maybe. But it's not the hardcore sharia. So we don't put upon the people what Allah and His Messenger have not what? Put upon the people. Everybody learn this or not? A grown woman, an adult woman, in front of other Muslim women. What's her awrah? Same thing. Hands and face. Anybody else?
The Muslims? Muslim
Muslim women.
They can show their hair.
They can show their hair.
Yeah.
At an Eid party or something, they can show their hair.
Once it's only woman.
As long as only women. Right.
Feet maybe too.
Feet maybe, okay? That's it?
Like the forearms.
Forearms. So you can have a short sleeve dress on. Okay, that's it. Anybody else?
Shouldn't be too tight.
Shouldn't be too tight. Clothes should be loose. Okay? That's it. Anybody else? Lutfi, got something online?
Yeah, someone said same aura as a man with other men.
Sorry. Okay, so that what does that mean? Same odor in front. That means what? Can be exposed in front of a Muslim woman. Is what? She said the same as odor with other men. That means what?
Just
When we add something, we do what? We gotta throw something out. So that means what can be seen in front of the Muslim woman? Her hair, her face, her neck, her hands, her arms, her feet, her legs, her shanks, and also her chest, up to her navel. As according to that. So according to this one, a woman can be what? Basically topless in front of other Muslim women. That's what it says. Because the man's chest is not awrah. Is it preferable to cover? Shyness, modesty? Yeah, but it's not actual legal what? Awrah that has to be covered except in front of someone that you're being intimate with. I work on this? Anybody else? Anybody else?
Well, online you're asking, can she not breastfeed in front of other women?
That's what we're asking about. If it's odor, then you can't do it without a blanket. If it is an odor, then it's permissible, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's what? Most preferable. I can show you my chest, but it doesn't mean that I what?
should.
If I don't have to. We're swimming, different story. Fishing, I have to rescue you. Brothers are having a wrestling match in the basement. Later to Qadr, huh? You all know how you get. I'm in the masjid in Ramadan. And one night, huh? Some brothers know what I'm talking about. The ego start coming out, right? That doesn't mean that it's haram for me to show you my chest. But if I don't have to, then I what? Should it? Anybody else? All right, let's move forward. So the thing with the chest and the legs, if it's permissible, it's permissible. If it's haram, totally haram. Just because it's permissible doesn't mean that it's what? Recommended. For women to just be sitting around and they have their breasts out exposed in front of each other. All right, we're doing this, especially in what? 2018. All right, Muslim women in front of non-Muslim women.
The whole thing.
Just like a non-mahram man. You agree with that, Sheikh Mahdi?
No.
Nah. So if your wife visits her mother, she has to keep her khimar on? That's what you gotta say. You said this now. She visits her mother, her old grandmother. She has to keep her khimar on, her niqab and gloves the whole time.
No, the ruling is the same as the Muslim woman.
Here we
except
go
if
now.
No,
What you want?
I said different.
Are
He
you
said-
sure?
Yeah, I said.
I thought it was ijma.
No, I said no. He said no. I said no. He said no.
He said nah, you said no.
No.
You said
It's both of that.
It's the same as a Muslim woman except when you fear fitna.
It's the same as a Muslim woman except for fear of fitna. So she can show the non-Muslim woman her arms, her neck, her feet, her shins, and even to some people, her breasts, as long as there isn't a fear of what?
Fitna.
Fitna. Okay. My question here about me is, Jazakallah khairan, does that same rule apply even to Muslim women? A fear of fitna.
Meaning what?
Alright, listen carefully. How many scenarios are you dealing right now with the Raqib? Right now. Just two. A grown Muslim woman in front of who?
Muslim.
A Muslim woman and a
No.
non-Muslim woman. Women, group 1 and 2, whatever. Clear? Okay, so you said that her awrah in front of non-Muslim women is the same as in front of
Muslim
women. But unless there is a
Fitna.
clear. I'm asking you, does that also apply to
Muslim woman.
Muslim women? Or is it only applying to non-Muslim women?
I don't get the question.
Listen carefully. The question is clear.
Yeah.
A Muslim woman,
Nah.
her awrah in front of other Muslim women, you said it's the same for non-Muslim. Faith has nothing to do with the awrah.
Yeah.
Correct?
Nah.
But you added one small extra description, and that was unless there is
Fear of
fitna. She can't uncover her hair if it's a fear of
Fitna.
among that non-Muslim woman. طيب. Does that also apply to a Muslim woman among Muslim women if there's a fear of fitna? Coming to the masjid, exposing her hair, and there's a lesbian in the masjid.
Yeah, it should, it would
Or a sister she's videotaping sisters and selling the footage online. This is Brother Fulan's wife. Get exclusive footage at the walima. She was dancing.
It would apply in that case as well too.
Well, you gotta mention that.
Oh, okay.
Especially in where? 2018, in which there is lesbianism that's widespread. Or certain sisters look for wives, second wives for their husbands, or whatever. Spy on sisters. This is reality.
No.
This is not a joke. This is what?
Yeah.
It's reality. Everybody parents or not? As a fa'idah, a benefit, and for everybody, with regards to walimas and aqiqahs and baby showers and different things like this. I read an article once in a newspaper. I read a newspaper in Saudi Arabia when I was in Medina, in which they said that it's been reported that most ayn, evil eye, and sihr and things like this, and hasad, most of these things take place on walimas, in which the people are dressing up, dancing, singing, happy, so and so. He says that's that. Some people have reported that's like the prime place of where it takes place on the wedding night. So be mindful of what? Of that. You don't have to be paranoid and make haram what Allah made halal, but be what?
Be mindful.
Mindful of that. Mm-hmm. How you dress, be mindful of your adhkar, and be mindful of who you invite. And also the concept of who you expose yourself in front of. A sister goes to a general gathering with everybody. That's one thing. That's what she exposes her hair or she keeps her kimono on. I'm in a general gathering. That's not the same as her with her entourage. In which Sister Karima, Sister Fulana, Sister Ahmed, in which they have they're close and they know each other. It's a difference. So, and the same applies to brothers. If I invite a bunch of brothers over to my house, or I have a meeting with them, or we out playing football or something, it's not the same as me being with my close team members that I know and trust. And that can happen in that too. But it's a what? It's a difference. Obviously, with Facebook, with Instagram, with social media beasts, much of these things are totally impossible. Because you take the selfie and you put it up for everybody to see. And you let everybody know what you're doing and where you're going and who and so on and so forth. So be what?
Mindful.
Be mindful of these things. And if you don't be mindful, you get a consequence often. Everybody clear this or not? Alright. Moving forward. A woman's awrah in front of children.
On age,
Depending on age, such as?
such as one who's not where they're
Aware. Even if they're not of puberty, but aware. They can be young, but still be what? Aware of body parts, skin complexions, height, weight, so on and so forth. Right. What about a woman's awrah in the salah? What does a woman have to cover in the salah? And what does she have to uncover in the salah?
Face and hands only.
Face and hands have to be uncovered?
They don't have to be, but all women have to be covered.
I'm asking you.
I mean, everything except the face and the hands.
Everything except for the face and hands. Right. Anybody else? That's with regards to those who say that the face and hands isn't awrah outside of the prayer anyhow. Anything, so it's the easy way to answer and say is the what? Same. A woman's awrah in the prayer is that in front of a non-mahram. But if you say that the hands and the face have to be covered, then you may have to make an adjustment, such as
Covering the face, covering the hands.
the face and hands can't be covered in the salah.
They can't?
I'm asking you.
No, I'm saying if you believe.
If you believe that in front of a non-mahram man, the hands and the face have to be covered. Clear?
Oh.
If a person believes that in front of a non-mahram man,
No.
the face and the hands what? Has to be covered. Is it permissible to cover them in the salah? Or do they have to be uncovered in the salah?
Permissible to cover them as well.
Okay, no exception. So same.
Well, it's permissible, but yeah, permissible to cover them, but that doesn't mean that you have to cover them in the salah.
Fine. Anybody else? What does a woman have to wear in the salah?
Close.
Clothes. You can't go wrong with that answer. Allahu Akbar. Clothes. Fine. Anybody else? Hayden, show anybody online?
Yeah, they're asking. They're answering some of the questions as well. Some people are saying face and hands. Some
Ask
say-
him what's the proof for that? That the face and the hands have to be uncovered in the prayer. What's the dalil from the sunnah?
I'm not even sure which one they were answering, to be honest with you.
Alright, so that's enough of our brief discussion of awrah, in and out of the prayer for men and women. Hadith number 294. حديث أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه أن سائلا سأل رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم عن الصلاة في ثوب واحد فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أول لكلكم ثوبان. Narrated Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, a person asked Allah's Messenger sallallahu about the offering of a salah, the prayer in a single garment. Allah's Messenger sallallahu replied, has every one of you got 2 garments? Next hadith looks be in Arabic, 295.
295. حديث أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لا يصلي أحدكم في الثوب الواحد ليس على عاتقيه شيء.
Next hadith.
حديث عمر بن أبي سلمة رضي الله عنه قال رأيت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يصلي في ثوب واحد مشتملا به في بيت أم سلمة واضعا طرفيه على عاتقيه. حديث جابر بن عبد الله رضي الله عنهما قال محمد بن المنكدر رأيت جابر بن عبد الله يصلي في ثوب واحد وقال رأيت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يصلي في ثوب.
Jazakallahu khairan. Hadith.
Man or it's women?
Otherwise, only women have to do this. Only men have to do this. Everybody on this? A man's is half, a woman's is a third. Everybody on this? Everybody understand this? So, let's say we agree on that rule hypothetically. Does that apply to clothes? Is that the default rule of clothes and attire? They're different now.
Well, yes.
You say yes, okay, right? I never said it wasn't. But it's my job to shake you up. See if you're confident on that. You feel, you say no, shake. Or yes. I'm asking you.
There is difference.
There's a difference. That's not the default there. Okay, and you say it is.
I say yes, but it's just that because there's, Allah stated what was for the woman. So the exception
We didn't
applies.
say anything about Quran or Hadith. We said principle.
The principle remains the same, except when it's stated for otherwise.
Yes or no, yeah?
Yes.
It doesn't.
You say that's not the default.
Totally different.
And you say that is the default.
That is the default.
Okay, fine. Inshallah. So one can say from these four hadiths, that women are also allowed to do what?
One garment.
One garment with those
Condition.
that it's long enough. From head to, it's also
Thick.
wide enough. Not tightly clinging to her body. And it's also not transparent. Just like a man. Based off of the what? The principle. Where does this principle come from? Just from the ulama, the scholars made the principle up. The principle is extracted from the hadith. Let alone the Quran. But specific hadith, إِنَّمَا النِّسَاءُ شَقَائِقُ الرِّجَالِ هُنَّ شَقَائِقُ الرِّجَالِ. The hadith that says women are the partners and twins of what? Of men. There it is. So that's one way of looking at it. And someone else may say, no, that rule is no longer the default when it comes to clothes in the salah. That rule is pertaining to hajj. That rule is pertaining to slaughtering. A man can slaughter, no what? A woman can slaughter. There are women that are strong enough to slaughter a bull, and there are men who are too weak to slaughter a bull, a chicken. He said it, not me. Everybody turn this or not. I'm too scared. So what's going to the graves? A woman can visit the graves just like a man, because there are men who cry and wail, and there are women who are solid and resolute. Someone can say that applies to those issues and not the issue of clothes, because of the distinct contrast difference between a man's physique and a woman's. So it's two ways of looking at it. But the default, you can never ever go wrong by sticking with the what? The default. You can't go wrong by sticking with the default. Innocent until what?
Proven guilty.
Proven guilty. Everybody heard this? The default, the asl. So these hadiths teach us that it's permissible to pray in what? With those conditions. If those conditions fail to be, if one fails to meet them, then you need a second or third or fourth what? Peace garment. Okay, so not Everybody understand this or not? Everybody got this? Everybody got this? Right. Also, from the rulings of these hadiths is the recommendation of praying in more than one garment. The recommendation of what? Like we said, preferability. The third ruling that we take from this chapter is the impermissibility of praying with your shoulders exposed. Obviously, we're talking about men specifically. The impermissibility for a man to pray with his what? Shoulders exposed. Khalid said you can eat big chicken, and he spread it all around New York City. He said I can shake an old lady's hands at work. There's no proof saying it's haram. He said this, he said that. He said share for that is a deviant. He said this. He went fitting them. And they don't actually want to what? Learn while you have them alive. Or they try to challenge you to go to another one. This one and that one. Oh, brother Munir, Munir, he said kada. What do you say about this, ya sheikh? What do you say about the one who says this? He wouldn't what? Make it provocative fitna. While you have them alive. Everybody this? So these are all from the etiquettes of answering the question and asking the question. So there's certain answers that I might give you, I may not what? Give you. There's certain issues I may say clearly, direct to the point, no. And other issues I may say what? Leave it alone. Stay away from it. Depending on the severity of the issue. Depending on the delay on the issue. The difference of opinion of the ulama on the what? On the issue. The time and the place of the what? Issue. Everybody understand this? There is no set in stone law when it comes to the rulings of asking and what? Answering the question. Everybody understand this or not? But the rules are to be adhered to. If I this or not. Right. Also, so we understand that this rule? That's from the asalib al-fatwa. That's from the styles of the giving the answer and answering the question. The Prophet says he did not say yes or no. He said what? Awalikullikum thoban. He says, don't you have what? I.e., that's what you should do. And if you don't have two garments, then perhaps
one is okay.
You know this? So this is from the prophetic styles of answering the what? Question. So no one can say, Akhi, you didn't answer the question. That's the video. Moving forward, Hadith 295 shows us, it says, it proves the impermissibility of praying in one garment if it doesn't cover the shoulders. And this goes to show you that the garments in the time of the Messenger of Allah were a bit different. Nowadays, is what? You just throw it on. Covers your shoulder, back, everything. Did they necessarily have this in his time? No. It was a qamis, a long garment that covers most of the body, but a full-length thobe with the sound effect. Everyone understand this? That's a bit different. Right, but if you put it in his arm, it's not going to cover what? Shoulder. Well, after that, you put it in the riddah, if it's not long enough, it's not going to cover what? The bottom. Right, so this hadith shows us is that it's haram to pray in one garment, invalid to make salat in one garment, or invalid, that's a different story because that's a mas'ala, we're talking about shawt, so on and so forth. What's important is, everything that's obligatory doesn't mean that it's a condition of salat. Everything that's haram doesn't mean it nullifies the prayer. But that's a long discussion. What's important is it shows it's impermissible to pray in a garment that does not cover your what? Shoulders if it's one garment. And Hadith 296 shows us what? The virtue of Salama. It also shows us what? The permissibility of offering prayers in one's house. He was praying in the house of who? Salama. You know what the Prophet has told us about making voluntary prayers in one's what? One's home. Don't turn your house into a graveyard. Make the dhikr of Allah in your house. Allow your house to be alive, thriving, vibrant with prayer. If you're a man, come to the masjid with the conditions of coming to the masjid. And when you go home, you make your recommended prayers. Everybody this in the what? In the home, in the house. And it also shows us the wisdom of the Prophet ﷺ through marrying different women and also taking on a stepson. Umar ibn Abi Salama was his stepson after the death of Abu Salama. And the Prophet ﷺ raised him and he taught him and he educated him. He's the companion narrator. That's why eating with the right hand, saying Bismillah, and eating the food that's closest to us. So it was wise for him to spread his knowledge and allow it to be accessible by several people. Oftentimes somebody says, I want to marry a sister, she has a son. that one son, that stepson that you may have, that looks just like her ex-husband, you're jealous. I've seen brothers say this before. I can't marry that sister. She's a beautiful, pious sister, but her son looks just like her ex-husband. I'm too jealous. I can't look at his countenance. Wallahi. Wallahi, people say this. I'm seeing people say this. That one stepson that you scorn may be the one who is more blessed than your own children from your own loins.
Maybe a source of Jannah.
That may be your source of gender. That may be the one that tip your scale. That may be the one that carry your legacy of whatever your legacy is to the next generation.
Yep.
Obviously, I mean, do we have to quote the pop culture and the films, the books, the movies? He was the stepson. And the actual oldest son was what? And the youngest son was what? And the stepson was the one that was what? The sharpest out of everybody. He held down the family for the what? For the longest. And he wasn't even from his what? From his loins. Everybody heard this? We go on and on and on and on about you don't know where Allah will place your barakah. A daughter, I can't have a daughter. She can't be my heir. She can't be a leader. She can't inherit the business. She can't be the man. The daughter that you may have may be better, more pious, more righteous, and most importantly, interested in the family business more than the son. Everybody heard this? More than the what? More than the son. You don't know where Allah will place your barakah. You never know where Allah will place your barakah, nor is it for you to choose where Allah will place your barakah. It's not for you to choose. It's not for you to choose who and who isn't going to be your disciple. You never know who's going to carry it on. Everyone understand this? So the person, he married these women for different reasons and different purposes. Here in this hadith, he married Salama and she had a son. And he also taught, educated, and refined that what? Muhammad ibn Salama. Everyone doing this? And also shows, it says, mushtamilan bihi, the permissibility of praying, and that was called al-ijtimal. It's to wrap yourself up in the garment. It shows that it's permissible to pray in the garment that's what? Wrapped up. And that's an issue, because the other hadiths is a permissible ijtimal, samma, to yujaljil nafsahu fi thawb, to wrap and ravel yourself up. This hadith in the Sahihain proves that it's what? Permissible. Last but not least, the hadith of Jabir radiallahu anhuma, we show another way of fatwa, or not even fatwa, another way of teaching the sunnah. The sunnah doesn't always have to be taught verbally, but it can be taught what? Physically. Jabir prayed in a way, a manner. And then he said verbally, I what? Saw the Prophet praying like this. Everybody doing this? Passing on and spreading the sunnah. Those are the main fawaid from Hadith 294, 295, 296, and 297. And those are also the main ahkam, the rulings. Khayr, inshallah ta'ala. An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he says here about this, the whole entire chapter as a whole, he says, فيه جواز الصلاة في ثوب واحد ولا خلاف في هذا لما حكي عن ابن مسعود رضي الله عنه فيه ولا أعلم صحته. He says here, these hadiths teach us the permissibility of praying in what? One garment. And he says, no, he says, I don't know of any difference of opinion. He says, I don't know that there's any difference of opinion. Those say that you can't, except for something that's mentioned from Ibn Mas'ud. Someone says that Ibn Mas'ud said that you can't, what? Pray in two garments. No, he says, and I don't know how authentic this is, if Ibn Mas'ud actually said that or not. So whether Ibn Mas'ud said it or not, we find, or no, he is saying the overwhelming majority of the Salaf and the Khalaf saying is what? Nothing wrong praying what? With those conditions. You see, the conditions aren't mentioned. You can't just take a look at it. With those what? With those conditions. No, he then says, وَأَجْمَعُوا عَلَى أَنَّ الصَّلَاةَ فِي ثَوْبَيْنِ أَفْضَلُ. And he says, ulama agree, they unanimously agree, that praying in two garments is what?
More virtuous.
That's more virtuous. It's better to have what? Two garments. Everybody turn this or not? No, he then says, وَمَعْنَى الْحَدِيثِ أَنَّ الثَّوْبَيْنِ لَا يَقْدِرْ عَلَيْهِمَا كُلُّ أَحَدٍ فَلَوْ وَجَبَ لَعَجَزَ مَنْ لَا يَقْدِرُ عَلَيْهِمَا عَنِ الصَّلَاةِ وفي ذلك حرج وقد قال الله تعالى ما جعل عليكم في الدين من حرج. Listen carefully to what Nawawi says and pay attention to the translation and how we translate it. Nawawi, he says the hadith means that everyone doesn't have the ability to have two garments. And if praying with two garments was mandatory, then that will be something that will be a what? A hardship. And he quotes the ayah in which Allah says, Allah has not made any hardship upon you in the what? In the deen. So listen carefully now. Says here, أَوَلِكُلِّكُمْ ثَوْبًا. He says, has every one of you got 2 garments? No, he says that this means that the Prophet is amazed and shocked. Each and every one of you has 2 garments to pray in? Another way, how we read it here and how we explained it, pay close attention, as if the Prophet ﷺ is what? Encouraging and saying, don't each and every one of you have at least 2 garments. You understand the difference or not? You understand the difference? أَوَلِكُلِّكُمْ ثَوْبًا. Does each and every one of you have 2 garments? Meaning you only have to have 1. Or someone may say, the Prophet has been saying what?
You should have 2.
Don't each and every one of you what? Have 2. Perhaps him being shocked and saying that they only have 1 is closer in a more accurate translation, revamping how we previously read it and said it before. Everybody clear on this? Everybody understand this or not? Especially in light of how the companions lived and how tough their lives were and money, so on and so forth. And Allah knows best. Moving forward, he says here, وأما صلاة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم والصحابة رضي الله عنهم في ثوب واحد ففي وقت كان لعدم ثوب آخر وفي وقت كان مع وجود ببيان الجواز كما قال جابر رضي الله عنه ليراني الجهال ولف الثوبان أفضل كما سبق. He says, and as far as the Prophet ﷺ and the companions prayed in 1 garment, that was a time in which they didn't have another garment. Or they had 2 garments, but he wanted to show them that it was permissible. As Jabir radiallahu anhu said, another narration, he says, لِيَرَانِي الْجُهَالِ. He says, I only did this for ignorant fools like you to see me. Other narrations, لِيَرَانِي أَحْمَقْ مِثْلَكَ. I did this for what?
People like you.
Stupid person like you to see me and what? Say something. This is what Jabir is saying. For ignorant people. In the time of what? Nah, not after the process of it. In the time of the Salaf. He says, I only did this for what? For you to see it and what? Say something. That's deep. It says, oh, no, you shouldn't say that. Oh, you shouldn't do this. The brothers are going to say this. Oh, what? This is what we say, right? Know what I mean? Jabir did the exact opposite. I want you to what? See it and what? Become sick in the stomach. Am I clear on this or not? Moving forward. No, it then says, if that's not the case, because of they don't have more than 1 garment, or to show people that's permissible, it says, and it's clearly best to do what?
We're 2.
Moving forward, last but not least, perhaps, fight. Let's do the last chapter and finish the volume. Says here, قوله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا يصلي أحدكم في الثوب الواحد ليس على عاتقه منه شيء. قال العلماء حكمة أنه إذا اتزر به لم يكن على عاتقه منه شيء واليمن أن تنكشف عورته بخلاف ما إذا جعل بعض على عاتقه لأنه قد يحتاج إلى إمساكه بيده أو يديه فيشغل بذلك وتفوته السنة وضع اليد اليمنى على اليسرى تحت صدره ورفعهما على الوجهين حيث شرع الرفع وغير ذلك لأن فيه ترك ستر أعلى البدن وموضع الزينة وقد قال الله تعالى خذوا زينتكم. ثم قال مالك وأبو حنيفة والشافعي رحمهم الله تعالى والجمهور هذا النهي للتنزيه لا للتحريم. فلو صلى في ثوب واحد ساتر لعورته ليس على عاتقه منه شيء صحت صلاته عن كراهة سواء قدر على شيء يجعله على عاتقه أم لا. وقال أحمد وبعض السلف رحمهم الله لا تصح صلاته إذا قدر على وضع شيء على عاتقه إلا بوضعه بظاهر الحديث. وعن أحمد بن حنبل رضي الله عنه ورحمه الله تعالى رواية أنه تصح صلاته لكن يأثم بتركه. وهجة الجمهور خلصة في حديث جابر رضي الله عنه فإن كان واسعا فالتحف به وإن كان ضيقا فاعتزل به. رواه البخاري ورواه مسلم في آخر الكتاب في حديثه الطويل. Listen carefully. He says, speaking about the issue of the shoulders, when the Prophet ﷺ says, none of you should pray in 1 garment that doesn't cover his shoulders. He says, the ulama, they say, The wisdom behind this is that if a person uses it as an izar, he wraps it on the lower part of his body. لم يكن على عاتقه منه شيء. Nothing will remain upon his shoulders. And if that's the case, then he's not safe from his awrah being possibly exposed. And that is totally contrast if he puts some of it on his what? Shoulders, a big long garment. Some is up top and some is down bottom. It's safer. It's what? Safer. He then says, because he may need to grab it, he may need to hold it, and if that's the case, then he'll miss out on the sunnah of raising the hands, the sunnah of placing the right on the left hand. No, he says, tahta sadrihi, beneath his chest. Beneath what?
His chest.
His chest. You know, we're not different on that issue. Where should the hands be placed? Beneath the chest, atop of the navel, beneath the navel, and some perhaps may say on the actual chest. No, he says beneath the chest. What's important is, he says if you have to hold up the garment in a certain way, then there's certain things that you won't be able to what? Do. Of the recommended acts. He never said that raising the hands and putting the right on the left is what? Mandatory, as we've explained before. No, he then says, and he says, and also covering the body in a more complete and thorough manner, like we explained. As Allah has said in Surah Al-Araf, خُذُوا زِينَتَكُمْ. Take your what? Zina. Cover yourself when you pray. Now, that's the wisdom of the hadith. What's the actual fiqh ruling now? Do you have to cover the shoulders or not? Just like last night, Nawawi says, Imam Malik, Imam Abu Hanifa, and Imam Shafi'i, and most of the ulama hold the view is that it's not necessarily haram. That you don't have to cover your shoulders, but it's just disliked. Tanzih. It's something that you should do. If you can cover your shoulders, then you what? Should. That's what he says. Most of the fuqaha say that you should cover the shoulders, but you don't necessarily have to. Who do we have left? Imam Ahmed. And some of the Salaf, they say that it's invalid. The prayer is what? Invalid. If you pray with your shoulders uncovered. And then he explains the details that Imam Ahmed, and then he says they take that hadith, the hadith of Abu Hurairah, the Zahir hadith, that which is apparent from the what?
Hadith.
From the hadith. He then says, there's another version of Imam Ahmed's statement, in which he said that the prayer is valid, but he gets what? Sin. Because he disobeyed the command. Like we just said, brothers and sisters, when the Prophet commands you to do something, we know what that is, the default. But does that mean that it's now something that will nullify the prayer? Just because something is haram doesn't mean it is what? Nullifies. Just because something is obligatory doesn't mean it is a shart. Salah. That's the beginning of the class about the awrah. Do you have to cover your awrah in the salah? Without difference of opinion. Is it a condition of the salah?
No.
We didn't say it wasn't, but that's a what?
Deeper.
No, that's not. So covering the shoulders, most of the ulama say what? No problem. Now that's, you should do it, but it's what? Your salah will be valid. And you didn't get any sin. Imam Ahmed and some of the stuff they say what? That the salah is what? Valid. Meaning that covering the shoulders is what? Haram to cover the shoulders? Meaning that covering the shoulders is what? It's a must. That's number one. It's must. You know, I'm going to say that it's a shart of the salah, because that's something that comes before. But inside the salah, it's something that will break the salah. Something that will nullify the salah. If you have the ability to cover the shoulders, then you what? Don't. You know this? And there's another time which Imam Ahmed said, the prayer is valid, but you get what? Sin. And that goes back to why we have two different statements of Imam Ahmed. That goes back to the principle, is that when the Prophet commands us to do something regarding the salah, does that automatically mean that that thing is now a what? Shart. No. If the Prophet says, don't do this in the prayer, does that necessarily mean that that thing nullifies the prayer? That's a long issue. And from that issue is covering the
shoulder.
Awrah. Whole awrah. If a person prayed naked, they get sin or not? No question. Does it mean that salah is invalid?
Not necessarily.
That's something, that's a different issue that needs to be proven and established. Praying with najasa on your clothes, it's haram. You're disobeying the command to avoid the najasa. Does that mean that the prayer is invalid? Right, the Prophet prayed with the sandals, then he took the sandals off. He didn't start his prayer again. That's a different issue that needs a different proof to be established. We're talking about conditions of the salah. And when you read and study conditions of the salah, you find the dalil is a hadith that doesn't say the prayer is invalid, the prayer can't be done. It says it's a command. So we find contradiction and inconsistency in that. That's a long discussion. This is only for certain people on certain levels of study that's want to really get this. And perhaps you can aspire to get it. Moving forward. So this goes to show like last night in Imam Ahmed, once again,
Different.
from most of the ulama, just like other issues in which just Abu Hanifa. So don't just corner what? Abu Hanifa. Moving forward, he says the proof of most of the ulama is the hadith of Jabir. That's in Bukhari and Muslim. In which Jabir he went to the Prophet late at night. And the Prophet says, Masura ya Jabir. He says, why you come so late at night? And he spoke to the Prophet about some things, some issues, so on and so forth. And then in the hadith it says about praying with a garment. It says, فَإِنْ كَانَ وَاسِعًا فَالْتَحِفْ بِهِ. The Prophet said if the garment is big, then what? فَالْتَحِفْ, wrap it around the whole body, shoulders and everything. وَإِنْ كَانَ ضَيِّقًا فَاتَّزِرْ بِهِ. And if it's too small, tight, then at least the what? It's all. Meaning the shoulders are going to be
Covered.
so they say that's the proof showing that covering the shoulders is only recommended. The Prophet clearly condoned and allowed him to pray with something that doesn't cover his shoulders. And then some of them they take a third view in the middle and they say that it's mandatory to cover the shoulders if you
Can't.
have the ability. And if you don't have the ability, then the prayer is not null and void. Clear on this? Because there are two different hadiths. Clear on this or not? Alright. Khayran, inshallah. He says here, Khayran, that's the end of that. Alhamdulillah, next class hopefully we'll go to volume 5 of Sharh Nawawi and also Kitab al-Masajid wal-Mawadi al-Salah, the next chapter of wal-Marjan. Alhamdulillah. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله نبينا وإمامنا محمد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. جزاكم الله خيرا.
جزاكم الله خير.